He needs a win, doesn't he?
Well, he needs to get some policy on the books because it's been rather disappointing so far.
Yep. So what is your view of this? How does it change things? Is it the right move as well?
In terms of the fiscal package?
Yes.
Yeah, so widely expected, of course, on the election, and we saw a lot of stocks try and lead that issue and start to outperform. All those gains have been paid back. So I think the market is certainly expecting something on the fiscal side, and we need to see some proactive, some positive, constructive policy come through, and we need to see the real economy kick in.
Absolutely, and it's something, naturally, Janet Yellen will be keeping a close eye on as well. What prism does the Federal Reserve look at this with?
Of course, focused on monetary policy, stability in prices, unemployment, you know, all the key objectives of the Fed. Still very much focused, forward-looking on inflation and trying to be preemptive. So odds are increasing in terms of a December rate hike, 2 to 3 hikes again next year.
But does it increase the need for interest rate hikes if we get a fiscal package in place which may well create inflation sooner rather than later?
Well, we're certainly hoping that any fiscal package will result in more spending in the economy, more capex. And of course, as we start to see capacity constraints kick in, we would expect to see some inflationary pressure build. So in anticipation of that, of course, the Fed act independently, but in anticipation of that, we would start to see the inflation targets or the inflation level get closer to the targets.
Mark, you know, I thought, looking through Yellen's speech, there were a lot of interesting things to do with inflation. Of course, that was the topic. But one of the things she kind of hinted at is that without the stability of inflation expectations, not being able to reach that 2%, it's still this conundrum, right? She kind of hints that perhaps the Fed model, when it comes to inflation, is flawed or needs to be overhauled. Does that kind of create a wide open door for whoever replaces her to potentially, you know, kind of overhaul the monetary policy framework?
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion around this issue, and I think markets will be very much focused on continuity and stability. And of course, with Stan Fisher's resignation becoming effective in the middle of October, the Fed are no longer a quorum for the end October meeting. So there will be early signs of which way that is going. But as I say, the market will be very much focused on continuity. I think the real issue, though, in terms of that continuity is going to be around regulations. And as we know, the President and his administration is very much focused on trying to ease regulations that have been imposed since the GFC. Janet Yellen has been not shy in coming forward and being committed to the tighter regulatory environment.